So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our fifth South America Web Conference. Today, I'm representing our managing partner of South America, Philip Close Moreiro. My name is Rafael Martins, and I'm deputy head of our São Paulo's office, which is our head office of South America. I have been in charge of developing our renewable energy competence in South America for a couple of years. We have 3 Rödl partner offices in Brazil and are in charge of coordinating our GPSA partners. Rödl partner, as you know, is the biggest German professional services firm in the world. We are one firm with currently 106 on offices in 48 countries. However, we serve our clients already in more than 125 countries, basically all over the world with the German quality services. In the countries where we don't have on offices yet, this is done in coordination with our Trust German Professional Service Alliance, GPSA, member firms, which builds the outer ring around our firm. Right now, I'm sitting together with Tamiris de Borba, the executive assistant who manages the GPSA South America activities, like this event, in our digital studio São Paulo, based in our regional head office next door to the German Chamber of Commerce. Today, our event will focus on the renewable energy world, presenting about market introduction, hot topics on renewable in South America. Renewable energy source is definitely the hot topic of the moment. After all, we need more everyday technological innovations with a lower environmental impact. The countries located in South America have a high potential for developing renewables, and today we would like to share with you a general view of the market as well as empirical experiences of key players. Special thanks to our sponsors for their great support: Lateinamerika Verein, EnergieAgentur-NRW, AHK Brazil. And thank you very much also to our first-class panel lineup that will be introduced throughout the show. As we speak, guests is still turning in, but we expect about 120 registered guests, and we are currently at 61 guests. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the flight that will take approximately 70 minutes in total. Tamiris de Borba, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rafael. Thanks for this warm welcome. And today we have a full house in this mega event, and it is a pleasure to be here moderating this webinar series once again, together with all these VIP panelists and of course the audience. Okay, so I'll go through now some quick instructions of the format of this event today. In this first part, we will all remain together in this very first room, okay? And we will have a very rich introductions from some of our partners in Germany, talking about the current transformation in the global energy sector, showing their views on the renewable energy market in Latin America, and also sharing perspectives and opportunities that Germany sees in South America. And then on the second half of this webinar, you'll be able to migrate to one of the other 4 room themes that we have prepared for you. Okay, and after the presentations of the speakers, you'll have the opportunity to participate in an open discussion with the panelists, okay, you, the audience. So you can turn on your microphones and your cameras if you wish, and we encourage you to do that, okay? And there's also the possibility to send us questions, okay, on the panel control if you like, if you don't want to turn on your cameras. But yeah, okay, so you should have received by email a PDF with a guideline to the rooms and the links to all of them. But if you haven't seen it yet, you can easily download it from the handout option on the panel control of this platform, okay? So you may search for handout on the panel control and find the Renewable Energy Guideline, and that's the exact name of the file. Well, for now, for those who are used to watch us, our webinar series, we really appreciate to interact with the audience. And for that, we make some poll question rounds during the event, okay? So I will start now already with one, and I will share it in your screen with some alternatives. And you may click and vote for your favorite option. Okay, so I'm going to launch the first poll question. You're probably seeing in your screen right now, and you from the audience, we give you a couple of minutes to vote, okay? And the first question is, which of the following countries would you be most interested in investing in renewable energy in the coming years? Option A, Argentina. Option B, Brazil. C, Colombia. D, Chile. Or E, Uruguay. Okay, I see that we have some people voting already. I'm gonna give you a few more time. Okay, I think we have the winner already. I'm going to share to all of you the result. And the most chosen option was Brazil. Well, that's interesting. Thank you very much for your interaction. And okay, I'm gonna close the poll question. And now it is my honor to hand over to Orlando Baquero, who worked in different Latin America markets and is currently based as the Managing Director of the Latin American Association, the LFAO, which has been working for over 100 years, bringing Latin American, the Caribbean, and Germany close together. Prior to his current role, Orlando worked in leading positions in several countries in Latin America and in Germany in different segments. Orlando, please.
Thank you, Tamiris. Thank you for the kind words and the introduction, and especially thank you for the invitation to participate in this great web conference. I think renewable energy is a very important topic. It's a very important topic for the region, but also a very important topic to Germany. As probably many of you know, the Economic Ministry in Germany for Economic and Energy has settled several cooperation projects with several countries in the region, showing how important this segment is both for Germany, but also for the Latin American countries. As we also know, the demand for energy in Latin America has been increasing steadily over the time, but also the conscious that we need cleaner energies, and so renewables take a big role. You also know that in the last month, probably years, hydrogen is taking a leading role in all this discussion. But we know that the technology to bring commercial feasible scale of hydrogen is still a bit away. So we need to focus on a lot of new technologies, adding value where we can using renewable energies. And here come a bit of importance that obviously investing in new technologies has a lot of risks. So we encourage companies to cooperate, to co-generate ideas, to co-generate innovations, and to work towards to improve our energy matrix. Latin American countries has a huge potential on green energy. So let's use it, let's invest, let's do. If we look at hydrogen, obviously Latin America is a bit back, behind other regions and other countries. If we look at the current pipeline of projects, 46% of all hydrogen projects are taking place in Western Europe, mainly Germany and the Netherlands. But also Australia is taking a lead role, leading that Asia has 40% of all new project pipelines. So let's take the run, let's work together to close this gap and bring Latin America to be on the top players on hydrogen. Renewable energies has been supported by public policies in several countries, but I have to say there are some countries which have huge potential where the political support has been less than what we will desire. But very interesting here, we see that companies are taking this role and are leading the change of the energy matrix and looking for the future on how to increase renewable on green energies. So as you see, there is always a way. We know Latin America is sometimes facing some instabilities, especially on the political side, but as we also know, energy projects are on the long-term run. So don't be afraid, use the ways of getting the information to get the support With Rödl partner, you have a great support there. You have the German chambers in Latin America, and obviously you have the LAB here in Germany. Use it, and you will see there is a lot of potential, a lot of possibility. Saying that, thank you very much. I wish you all a very interesting conference, and back to you, Tamiris.
Many thanks, Orlando, for being here with us once again. It's always a pleasure. And now I introduce you Mrs. Inga Söllner. She works at the, one second. Mrs. Inga Söllner, she works at the EnergieAgentur-NRW in the field of international relations and foreign trade activities. Her main role involves promoting partnerships and networks between companies from North Rhine-Westphalia and Latin America on renewable energies, including green hydrogen. She studied Latin American sciences and natural resource management in Germany, the Netherlands, and Brazil. Inga, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tamiris, for the nice introduction and also for the invitation to be here with you today in this, I think, really interesting webinar. Yeah, I'm really happy to present you some information about the cooperation between Germany, specifically North Rhine-Westphalia, the state where I'm actually located, in Latin America. So if you could go to the next slide, I can give you an overview of my agenda. So first of all, I would like to introduce the Energy Agency. So I briefly would like to tell you who we are and what we do. And then secondly, I would also like to give you some information about the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, about the importance of the topic of energy transition. And lastly, the most important point of my presentation will be about the role of Latin America for the cooperation with North Rhine-Westphalia. And if you could go to the next slide, I would like to start with the presentation of the Energy Agency. Yeah, as you can see here on the slide, the Energy Agency is working as an operational platform on behalf of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia now for over 30 years. And our tasks, or better service areas, can be divided into 4 different ones. So first of all, our main work is to support and also to establish many networks and also expert forums on different technologies such as renewable energies, but also topics like e-mobility, networks, grids, and also hydrogen and fuel cell is among our main topics at the moment, actually to support the market introduction of new technologies. What we also do is that we offer initial consultancy services for companies, but also municipalities. We promote market initiative to actually spread new technologies among end users. And we are also active in the field of public relations and knowledge management. So we organize different information events, but also elaborate information materials. So the network where I'm working in, Tamiris has already mentioned it, is the network of international relations and foreign trade activities. On the next slide, you can see our team of our network, and also in the bubble you see an overview about all the different topics we are dealing with every day in our interdisciplinary networks. So the central aim of our network is to support companies, mainly small and medium-sized ones from NRW, to establish partnerships and businesses abroad. And yeah, we do that by promoting the exchange of best practices, know-how transfer, but also knowledge sharing. And yeah, and if now I would like to come to the second point of my presentation. If you could go on to the next one, the next slide. Yeah, thank you. And that's because there might be also some participants from Latin America who probably have never heard about NRW or not so much. I think it's also interesting for you to give you some information about the state itself, but also about why the topic of energy is so important for our state. So on the next slide, you can see some really general information about the slide. You could also click 2 more so we can see the pictures on the slide. Perfect. So just some basic information about North Rhine-Westphalia. So North Rhine-Westphalia is located in the western part of Germany and represents nearly 22% of the German population. and has also, in terms of inhabitants per square kilometer, one of the highest in Germany. So the state is located in the biggest metropolitan area on the European continent. So cities and these metropolitan aspects are really important for the region, but also rural areas, as you can see on the pictures here, are also really important. But of course, the topic we're talking today is energy. So on the next slide, you will have some information about the topic of energy. So why it is important here for our state. So Northern Westphalia is also defined as the European center of the energy sector, since 1/3 or nearly 1/3 of German electricity production, but also consumption are generated here in NRW. If you look at the graph on the left side, it's unfortunately in German, but I think most of the words are similar in English, so I hope it's fine for everyone. You can see that wind energy, solar energy, and bioenergy are among the most important renewable energy technologies we have here in NRW. So 16% at the moment of electricity consumption are generated by renewable energies. And I'd like to move on to the next point, and that's about the concrete targets. So what is NRW actually doing to achieve target energy transition? So one of the central aims is to reduce CO2 emissions in the energy sector by 70% until 2030. Another really important aspect is to accelerate the growth in renewables, this mainly in the field of wind energy and PV. And of course, one more aspect is to shut down all the coal-fired power plants that are still in place, the latest by 2030. So the main energy supply shall be by wind, PV, CHP, geothermal energy, and also green hydrogen. And green hydrogen, this is what leads already to the second point and also the last point about the NRW. And as you can see on the next slide, so perfect. So as in many other countries and regions in Germany, hydrogen is really one important or really key technology that has been considered here in the States. So NRW promotes or wants to promote a green hydrogen economy. And that's why last year in 2020, NRW has established a hydrogen roadmap. And there are two important aspects I would like to point out, and that's about the use and about the production of hydrogen. So the use of hydrogen will be highly important for different sectors here in NRW. That's first of all as a feedstock for the energy-intensive industry that we have here in the region, but also in the transport sector and also for power and heat production. And when we look at the technology, it is stated in the roadmap that the new technologies such as electrolyzers, fuel cells, tanks, pipes, and so on shall be really promoted. The value should be created through these technologies. And also when it comes to exporting potential and taking over a technological leadership, this is one of the main aspects that are highlighted in the roadmap. And what we have to say is that in NRW, we have really good conditions to promote and establish a hydrogen economy. Since we already have a good energy infrastructure, there are ports, we are quite close to the North Sea, and there is a huge demand in the field of industry and transport and an expertise from the manufacturer and supplier side. But of course, there are certain challenges when it comes to hydrogen here in the region. And on the next slide, you can see what are these challenges. And that's that we do have this huge demand for industry, transport, and the power production. But this also means that NRW alone won't be able to meet this demand. So in the future, by 2050, it is estimated that around 90% of the hydrogen demand that we do have here will be necessary to import. And this is also when I come to the role of Latin America and other countries, to strengthen international markets will be one of the main targets for the coming years. So on the next slide, if you move on, I would like to show you now what's actually the role of Latin America for NRW. So in order to find out what are the main interesting energy markets for NRW companies in the energy field, and also what are the main interesting technologies for NRW companies, we've conducted a survey last year in autumn. So on the next slide, you can see two graphs. And that's where we're asking, as I said, to see what are the countries where NRW companies would like to expand their businesses. And in this graph, you can see that among the most interesting countries for the companies here are Chile, Brazil, and Argentina. And the key topics are solar energy, and of course also hydrogen and fuel cell. But of course, there are also certain challenges that have been stated in the survey. And among the main challenges are, of course, funding, financing, always among the main topics, but also with regard to Latin America, informal barriers such as corruption, criminality have been stated as quite important, and also the legislative and political framework in some countries. And these results, or just some of the results from the survey, have actually confirmed the topic or the main regional and thematic focus of our activities in the last years. So on the next slide, you can see that we have really close partnerships to many Latin American countries. So Chile is really the most, you can say most, but really we have really close partnership with Chile, but also Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina. And we have been working on quite diverse activities. For instance, we have been promoting institutional structures. We have been working on the exchange of different technologies, mainly with a focus on solar and wind energy, and in most countries also accompanied by the topic of sustainable mining, given the huge importance of the topic of mining in NRW, but also in Latin American countries, or in some at least. But I would have to say that despite these close relations that we have had in the last years with Latin America, what we have seen is that the demand from their NRW companies decreased a lot in the last years. And this was mainly due to some market entry barriers like political, but also economic situations in many Latin American countries. But what you also see is due to this boom on green hydrogen at the moment, cooperation, or at least the interest and the demand for establishing cooperation and projects with Latin American countries is increasing a lot. And this is also actually the reason why we have been focusing more and more in the last year on activities on green hydrogen with Latin America. So on the next slide, you can just see some activities we have been developing in the last years. So with Brazil, we have been an activity on the webinar, but we also have had an activity to even promote a direct dialogue between NRW companies and also Chilean companies. We have had some B2B matchmakings on green hydrogen, and we also have been on fairs. And we hope that soon we will be able to travel again to Latin America, hopefully in the next few months, or at least soon. And that leads to my conclusion. So to sum up, I just wanted to say on the next slide that, as I have shown you in the beginning, there are quite ambitious targets to achieve climate neutrality in NRW by 2050. And as in many other countries, green hydrogen is considered as one of the key technologies for achieve these aims. Of course, not just in NRW, also on international level for many other countries. But due to this huge potential and also this advantage that we see in many Latin American countries for producing green hydrogen, and also the increasing political commitment from the region, for NRW, the cooperation with Latin America will become more and more important and will play a really important role. And that's also, I just wanted to highlight that creating synergies and also promoting international partnerships will be more important within the coming years. And that's actually all I want to present. So on the next slide, you see all my contact details. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Just call me or write me an email. And I would like to thank you for your attention and for now the upcoming workshop sessions. I wish you really interesting discussions and presentations. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Inga, for this great introduction. And now we'll make another poll question round. Okay, so I will launch in our screen the second question that we want to know from you. And the question is, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge when investing in renewables in South America? Option A, high costs. Option B, unstable economic and political environment. Option C, lack of qualified workforce. Or D, high bureaucracy in place. And again, I'll give you a couple of minutes for you to choose. Okay, the majority of the audience has already voted, and we have a winner, a very clear one, I would say. And the most chosen by far was unstable economic and political environment. Okay, moving on, I would like to introduce you now. Okay, so please welcome Anton Berger. He's the responsible for the Rödl & Partner Energy team in Germany and for the global practice group Renewable Energy. And Anton has been working for Rödl & Partner since the 1998 and has successfully built up this sector. He himself is an expert for company transactions, financial modeling, valuation, and risk management. Please, Anton, the floor is yours.
Tamiris, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to speak here. Dear ladies and gentlemen, now I want to tell you something about Rödl & Partner, some points about the regulation in Europe and in Germany. Yes, and about the renewable energy sector. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, Rafael told us what we are working. Now we have 5,000 employees in 111 offices worldwide. Next slide. Okay, let's speak us about our experience. Actually, we are working with 150 national international experts in the energy and renewable energy sector. We have experience with more than 25 years in the energy management consulting in all fields, geothermal energy, wind, biomass, photovoltaic. And our clients are IPP companies, project developers, energy suppliers. We are working for around about in Germany 200 energy suppliers, for banks, for international financial institutes, ministries, plant engineers, and investors, and so on. Okay, next slide, please, Tamiris. Okay, and here you find some examples for our services. We have a lot of projects in energy law and tax consulting. We are working for the energy intensive industry. Topic is international market entry studies and consulting, finance advice, transaction service, subsidy consulting. It's a very big topic, and we're also working for investors in our four disciplines: auditing, legal, tax, and business consulting. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, here you find some tools from our division. The first one you see, Renewable Energy Exchange. It's a successful online platform for the renewable, and it's a matchmaking platform between project developers and investors. And actually, we have the add-on with PPA buyers worldwide. Next point is Smarendo, is a digital management tool for the energy sector, and you find energy law obligations, monitoring deadlines, and so on. Perhaps you know our e-news newsletter. You get it quarterly, and yes, we transport all actual informations in this sector. On our homepage, you find also overview about our country overview. Actually, we have 17 countries, and it's an overview about country-specific legal and fiscal conditions. 2 years ago, we wrote an ebook about 10 countries in the what is situation in the PPA sector, and actually we're making update, and yes, we find here some examples for our doing around our services, our consulting services. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, let's speak about the European Union, the climate policy. Perhaps you know, you find the compliance with the targets from Paris Climate Agreement, and the new climate target plan for 2030 is to reduce the greenhouse gas emission to at least 55% below 1990, and before we had 40%. And other central goals are increase energy efficiency of at least 32%, and the last point is a share of energy from renewable sources of at least 32%. If you ask me, but I think it's not a big challenge. And the long term, the goal is climate neutrality until 2050. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, let's say some sentences about Germany. In Germany, actually, we have an electricity generation as in 2020 with 51% to the renewables. On the left side, you find the fossil parts, but they all will next years until 2038 finish, and nuclear next years. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, it's I want to say it's an exciting slide. Here you find the GHG emission since 1990, and you see the last 30 years the reduction was 300 million tons. And when you look on the right side here in the slide, you see the next years from 2020, it's correct, 2021 until 2030, 9 years, we also have to reduce 300 million tons. It's ambitious. And also on the right side, you find the reduction goal 2030 until 2045. It's a new climate target in Germany. Perhaps you know it, not 2050 and 2035. And in this time room, you have to reduce in addition 432 million tons. And if you ask me, actually, I don't know how we can do it. It's very ambitious. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, it's also a very exciting slide here, and it's we are working often with the slide, and you see the cost reducing of the renewables the last 10 years. It's very interesting. You see photovoltaic, we have a reduce of 85% the last 10 years. Wind energy onshore 56%, and also wind offshore 48%. It's very good, and actually we have an installed capacity 2,800 gigawatt, and you see the growth since 2010 is more than 200%. And yes, when you look to the perhaps to the International Energy Agency, they believe that they are above average growth is very, very high. And when you see this slide, you can see that we have grid parity. 5 years ago, we spoke, as Rödl and partner, we will get next year, we will get grid parity. A lot of people said, no, it's not possible. But now, but you see worldwide, but you see also the PPA situation. Afterwards, we speak about this topic. It's the base is the cost reducing that we can do PPA in the market. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here's an example for yes, successful working German company. They are working worldwide. It's only example. So some clients of Rödl and partner. And you know, in Germany was the first country with which made a feed-in tariff system, the German EEG, in the year 2000, and I believe it was the basic for all companies. And yes, and we see a very good development. A lot of companies are working worldwide and also working in Latin America. Okay. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, at last, I don't speak about in detail about South America, but my colleagues will tell you now in detail. But you see the big potential. It's a big potential, not only wind power or perhaps solar power with 4 million gigawatt, but I believe it's a very, very good market in the actual situation. I told it. Okay, but you hear from my colleagues in detail. Next slide, please. Okay, at last, at the end of my introduction, I will invite you to our next branch meeting. We do it for 10 years. It's a big event at Rödl and partner with more than 30 topics, 30 slots from colleagues, from clients, from experts, and with more than 200 participants. And yes, this year it is on the 9th November. I want to invite you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Anton, for your participation here with us today, with your insights. Very nice presentation. Thank you. And I was told that the poll question round, the results didn't appear on the screen. So I will try again, just to show to you that the thing that most concern people in invest in South America, it's definitely unstable economic and political environment. Okay, now we'll hide the poll question. And thank you all for this amazing opening. We have certainly learned a lot already, but we have still the second round, okay, of this webinar. And now it's time for interaction, for the interactive part of the program. The show, it's only starting. And as I promised, It is time for the room change. So who wants to watch the workshop about Brazil, please stay in this room, do not leave it. And for all the others who are interested in watching about one of the other 4 countries, please check the guideline PDF now, where you can find the links to the other 4 theme rooms, okay? Each one with its specific themes that I will tell you now. Biomass Uruguay, you receive Dr. Jorge Martinez Guerreiro from Instituto de Engenharia Química University, and Horacio Pintos from CSU and member of GPSA. On the green hydrogen and solar energy room, we'll be talking about Colombia. You have Mr. Sebastian Peck from STIC Renewable and Services Colombia, SAS, Mr. David Pena Wilches from Siemens, and Alexander Fombila from Fombila de la Pava and Bertolotti, also a GPSA member. Regarding solar energy, we'll talk about Argentina, and we'll present to you Mr. Walter Marin from Fast Power Trading, together with Christian Albert and Octavio Senahuja, both from ESIHA, our GPSA member as well. And to talk about solar energy, photovoltaic at Chile's room, you have Mr. Peter Betting from CBAC Latam, Pabetting, GmbH, and Felipe Ernst from Betts Legal Partners, also a GPSA member. And finally, if you choose to hear about Brazil, we'll talk about green hydrogen with Márcio Oliveira from Master Gases Brazil and Alessandro Colucci from Arraca Brazil. And again, if you choose Brazil, do not leave this room, okay? Just wait until I have everyone's decision. We're going to give a time, okay, to choose your room. I also posted all the links on the chat, just in case you didn't see the PDF on the handouts, but you have also the room options on the chat with the links, okay? And please, again, you can save the PDF or the links on the panel control, and it's good to have it, all the links, just in case you want to change the rooms into the through the program, in the middle of the program, okay? So if you have any doubts, you can always send us a message as well in the panel control. Our IT team, it's also there to support you. And don't worry if I'm interested in participating in more than one team. All the 5 rooms will be recorded, okay? And we'll be able to watch it afterwards when shared by our market department. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's change the room. And again, we'll give you 5 minutes or so before we start the presentation of the other rooms, okay? So that you can calmly access the other links. Thank you for now, and see you soon.